leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order. It's Christian Coffins.
DarkDox, 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 Digest. DarkDox, 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 Digest. DarkDox, 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 Digest. DarkDox, 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 Digest.
Welcome to the April 18th, 2025, Friday edition of the DarkDox Digest with your host, Christian Coffins.
DarkDox, 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 Digest. DarkDox, DarkDox, DarkDox,
Digest.
Welcome back to a special Friday edition of DarkDox Digest. I am your host, Christian Coffins, and we have the pleasure of hanging out once more with the fantastic Captain Charlie Bravo, our DarkDox Freemason cop. How you been, man?
Oh, great. Thanks for having me back again. Pleasure as always. Look forward to the show. It's going to be good topics.
Absolutely. Let me go ahead and turn this. Where are we at? We got a new setup here, so I'm still kind of working out the kinks. Where is... Oh. Okay, we're not in the intro anymore. All right, that's why. Okay, got the date, got the lower third, I'm back. Good. All right, so you know what? Yeah, I need to bring in the... where's the Charlie Bravo? This was kind of last minute, so I don't have your graphic on the screen, but your name's down on the bottom. And so last time we were talking about more law enforcement stuff and U.S. laws and everything. So we thought it'd be fun on this episode to delve more into the Freemasonry aspect of things, into the occult and myth and reality and all of that stuff. So let me go ahead and open the display capture. And you sent me this guy Apathy. He's a Freemason rapper.
Yes, he's a Freemason rapper. I did look into his history. It is verified. He has official proceedings from, I forget what state it was, but he's a Freemason. He puts out a lot of it's like just hip hop inspired musical, just music with Freemasonry and mysticism and other stuff incorporated into it. But if people want to check him out and actually listen to somebody who I would say actually knows what he's talking about and is legitimate, verified, he'd be a guy to check out.
Nice. Yeah, so this song's Legend of the Third Degree, and it slaps. We'll play that to start off the show.
If the man is smart, star charts technology is silly to those who know real space travel only happens with souls. Molecules and energy disassemble and flows with space bends and distorts. We are UFOs. King Hiram, master of all builders, stepped through 2 pillars, stalked by 3 killers, buried inside a village. But wait, I'm not finished. Risen from the grave as a holographic image. Let's have a conversation about the constellations, about sound and light and matter and vibrations. The mathematics needed just for your genetic sequence. My humans are distracted studying devils and demons. I need more than 33, I'm 360. I need more than religious scriptures can give me. I'm in a chamber of reflection getting busy, chanting and meditating till I'm dizzy. Memento mori, end the story. I told you I'm grand leveler. You never catch a grip or a token if you're irregular. You suckers had it twisted since the Morgan affair. I'm horseback attacking haters with a sword in the air. Sort of rare, but you could sort of compare me to Brother Manly. I got poets and scholars and pharaohs in my family. People trying to decipher and try to code me. Fans constantly quoting me, brothers saying, so mote it be.
DarkDox.
Mother Mary, a sprig of acacia found inside a cemetery. Let's talk of hieroglyphics, not the pseudoscientific. The phony spirit healers or a reading by a mystic. The snake oil sellers or some fabricated cleric who speak of all religion to exploit the esoteric. The crystal rubber, card reader, Ouija board controller. The spellcaster, cult leader, or some holy roller. The source of the vampire feeding off your energy. And people still believe in some imaginary enemy. I never look to the skies to say a prayer. There's no mystical wizard who's up there. Everything that ever was is everywhere. So let's light the 3 candles for this black tie affair. I'm stargating, well y'all are stargazing. Heart starts racing like studying Carl Sagan. Standing in formation, chanting the oration. Tell the mortals there will be no teleportation. Deep in dark woods, down the creepiest roads. Different symbols, letters, and numbers, you can see them decode. In the creepiest robes, bunch of people we loathe. I don't fuck with the shit they do in that Bohemian Grove.
I'm from your ancient future. Legend of the 3rd degree, God Hiram Abyss. Burning the seas like degrees of Mason. Cause your fake legend of the 3rd degree, God Hiram Abyss. I'm from your ancient future. Legend of the 3rd degree, God Hiram Abyss. A master mason when I'm building my pyramid. Legend of the 3rd degree, God Hiram Abyss.
Yeah, that's there's a lot in there, man, for sure. I didn't hear it all the way through the first time around. I just noticed that they mentioned I don't give a shit what they do at the Bohemian Grove. I wonder, what do you think what he meant by that? Like, like what they do in Freemasonry is like so much crazier, or like are they calling them whack? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's that it's to what he basically, I think it's like a diss. Basically,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people associate Freemasonry with that kind of, so it's kind of like separating Freemasonry from that. But I also think that, in my belief and what I've experienced, what I've seen and studied, Freemasonry works for the greater good. So I think he's like saying like, we're not like you, like fuck you.
Yeah, that was kind of my takeaway too. And, I guess I could understand people's confusion or seeing a similarity from the outside because, I really didn't know much about Freemasonry other than like there was one across the street from my middle school, Miami Springs Middle School, actually. There's a Freemason Lodge right there on the Lake Okeechobee going over into Hialeah. And so we would always run across that parking lot when we were skipping school, to jump on the Conchita to go take the Metro Rail over to downtown. So that's really my extent of like knowing anything about Freemasonry growing up. And then I really didn't give it much thought until we were like in college and supporting third-party candidates. So I was doing research on like third parties here in the U.S. And if you look up what was the first third party here in the U.S., it was actually the Anti-Masonic Party, earliest third party, formerly a single issue party. It was strongly opposed to Freemasonry in the United States, was active in late 1820s, especially in the Northeast, and latter attempts to become a major party by expanding the platforms to take positions on other issues. It was declined quickly after 1832, and most members joined the Whig Party and disappeared after 1838. So, odd. The whole thing was very, I found that very interesting.
Yeah, I actually did look into that because I've heard about the Anti-Masonic Party before. That actually stems, that party emerged in I think it was like the late 1820s, and that was in response to the William Affair, it's called.
William Morgan disappeared, and the party was founded. A former Mason who had become prominent critic of the Masonic organization. Many believe that the Masons had murdered Morgan for speaking out against Masonry, and subsequently many churches and other groups condemned Masonry. As many Masons were prominent businessmen and politicians, the backlash against the Masons was also a form of anti-elitism.
Yes. So, the guy William Morgan. Now, there's a couple points that I discovered. No, I can't say I spent like, weeks or months looking at this. Spent like an hour or so. But at least from the Masonic perspective, what I could found is his status of as legitimate Freemason is questioned, I guess. There is
Oh.
some question whether or not he actually was a Freemason or not. And then, yes, his disappearance was blamed on the Masons. Whether it's true or not, from what I've heard, I'd say there's three likely outcomes. That, yes, the Masons may have done it. I think probably not. Two, which I think is most likely, is that they paid him to just leave town, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Um,
one of those things. Like, I don't know, I wasn't there. You know, like
Yeah, and
that.
I just feel like at the time, like, yes, a lot of Freemasons, especially in those times, they were doctors, lawyers, people with money. So it would have been a good political move to try to.
Maybe Freemasonry is more of like a upper middle class thing. I kind of
I'm
just
gonna say, unfortunately, it has changed. I think there are more. When I say elite, I don't necessarily mean for money, but I mean people that are intellectuals, that are idealists, the best in their class, the best of their sport, the best in their job, people that really want to do things for their community and other people and help lift other people up. And I think since not just Freemasonry, but all fraternities, sororities, any type of community-based organization has all declined. All of them, from the Moose Lodges to all those type of things, they've all declined. Um, and I think in a response to that, some of these organizations have tried to lower, I guess you could say standards, but allow easier access to people to try to combat that. So I would say that has changed, and I don't know if that's good necessarily.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's just kind of what I see. Like whenever I see people kind of coming and going from lodges, or you see like Freemason symbols on a car, for example, or a license plate, it's typically, it's never a crappy car, but it's never the nicest car either. And that's usually what I go off of. I'm like, all
Yeah,
right, so
I'd
it's
say
kind of like a
that's yeah.
upper middle class thing, these days, but like, maybe not a lot of millionaires these days.
I would say that's probably true. Now, it also depends where you're at. Like, there are some, I know some like up in Naples that, yes, they got some heavy hitters. They got people, they got millions of dollars in the bank, the lodge. Everybody's there, got a BMW. There are some places still like that. Now, if you actually go abroad internationally, it is very much still like that. Some places, if you don't have money, they're not letting you in, point blank, period.
Yeah.
Masonry here kind of sees that as discrimination. Somewhere
Yeah, it's good.
how much money you
Um,
have is you being a good person. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling through Freemasonry in the United States. Yeah, I never thought about it. But so there's African American lodges. Are there a lot of those? Have you come across any like black
Yeah, there are quite a
orders?
few. So there was so some of the requirements to be Freemason is you have to be a male, freeborn, of lawful age, believe in the supreme creator and well recommended. So the being freeborn part obviously is problematic, which it still is in some countries to this day, actually. But
What
yes,
defines being freeborn? Like, I mean, just anybody who's not a slave, or what are we talking about?
yes, essentially you cannot be born into slavery.
Okay, but like anybody, like you saying your parents can't either, or
The petitioner, the person themselves specifically, can have never been a slave.
oh, okay. So these days that's not really a problem.
You're right. Not in the United States, but they're like in some place in the Middle East where masonry is like illegal, I guess you could say. Like, yeah, it is a problem because like where there's countries where they still have slavery in like Africa and some places, then it still comes up.
Oh wow, I never even thought of it being illegal in some countries.
Yeah, Cuba, I know just from my
Wow.
heritage, it's actually illegal. Now, funny enough, Cuba just loosened their regulations a little bit. The government will pick the Grand Master of the Lodge for you. You're not going to vote on it like you're supposed to. So the government will place people in Masonic lodges for
Hmm.
them. Well, obviously you don't have a choice or you just get killed, but um, yes, it's illegal in a lot of countries still.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. So this African American Lodge thing, it has a graphic that I thought was pretty interesting, and illustrating. Let me pop myself off the screen here so everyone can see. It says a illustration promoting African American ascent of the ladder of success from Prince Hall Masonic Convention program in 1920. So this is Knights Templar. Remind everyone again, and myself, because I need to, brush up. I've read about this years and years ago. But what's the Knights Templar relationship to modern day Freemasonry?
So it's going to be, I would say it's more associated with like the Scottish Rite Freemasonry, but in the United States, in order to be a Knights of Templar, you have to be a Freemason.
Got it.
So all Knights of Templars are Freemasons, but not all Freemasons are Knights of Templar.
Right. It's like something. It's like a next step or whatever.
Yeah, it's just a lot more classes you got to take. Honestly, that is one of my next goals, but it is one of the hardest ones. Not where it's just like requires a lot of, when you get into these, I'll say more advanced degrees, it's basically just like classroom work. It's like you sit literally and you're getting lectured. I think there's also a big misconception of like what some of these degrees are like. Freemasonry in general takes a more like academic approach to this stuff, so it's like literally set up like a school. So some of the stuff you're literally like, here's a chalkboard, here's some old guy, and you're sitting down. It's like, all right, here we go, type deal. So Knights of Templar, I'm working on it, but it is one of the harder ones. You have to be affiliated with 4 or 5 different bodies of Freemasonry before you can apply to the Knights of Templar.
Got it. Yeah. So I see, like on this graphic, they have Order of the Eastern Star under that, Herons of Templar Crusades, Mystic Shrine, Daughters of Isis, High Priests, Royal Archmasons, Grand Master, Grand Lodges, and Master Masons. So are those like all like different degrees, or is that something different?
So they're like different, I'll say, appendant bodies that offer the degree.
Okay.
Basically, it's like a different like department that's giving you the class.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Is the Order of the Golden Dawn part of Freemasonry too, or is that something else entirely?
No, is that the guy? Is that Crowley's? Is that the one that Crowley invented?
Yeah, that and Shirley Temple was like a high priestess of that. They had like a girls' division and a guys' division of the Order of the Golden Dawn.
Yes. So yeah, I know what you're talking about. So Crowley was, despite what people think, he was never a Freemason. And that is not an official body of Freemasonry or of any Grand Lodge of Freemasonry.
Okay. Yeah, they sure made themselves sound like that. Maybe that was part of the plan.
They and that's actually a good point. Topic to jump into. It's actually called clandestine Freemasonry. And going back to the Prince Hall, the African American one, clandestine Masonry is basically like fake lodges and fake Masons. You could look at it like almost like stolen valor, where I'm just gonna go buy all this regalia and put it on, and I'm gonna read, watch a couple YouTube videos, maybe a couple books, and I'm just gonna say that we're all Masons and you can come join my lodge, and I'm gonna give you these degrees, when you're not an actual authenticated body through the Grand Lodge of your state. Each state has its own Grand Lodge. Grand Lodge, Florida, Georgia, there's 50. In the United States, because the Founding Fathers, state versus federal, they did not want a Grand Lodge in the United States. So there is no Grand Lodge in the United States. In some countries, like England, there is a Grand Lodge of England.
What is the one that's 33 blocks north of the White House?
That's the Scottish Rite, and that's the one I'm actually in. I'm a 32nd degree Scottish Rite, and that is Scottish Rite Freemasonry, yes.
So is that like you guys like main headquarters, or like not
that
really?
That is largely considered, for the southern jurisdiction, I guess you could say headquarters. Yes, that is the biggest one, the most fancy, the oldest, the most money, all that.
Did you hear about there was a real life superhero, they call them like RLSHs, called the Phantom Patriot, and he actually set himself on fire in front of that building several years ago.
Oh shit, no, I did not hear about that.
Yeah, this shit's wild. Let me pull up Phantom Patriot suicide.
Damn. What did he have a beef with Masons or something?
He thought like he made a couple of he was a big Infowars fan, and part of like the RLSH like community. Like it's I don't know if you know about this real life superhero thing, but like it's a real ass thing, and they got like different chapters and stuff. And but yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, are you watching now or yeah? This is what the guy looked like. He had like different costumes. And he actually broke into the Bohemian Grove once as
That's cool.
well. And but yeah, if you like look him up on YouTube, he had like several like he had like it was almost
Huh.
like a it was kind of like Power Rangers or something. He had like a TV
Yeah,
show he
yeah, I'm
was just
seeing
trying
it.
to do for a while, and
Wow.
but yeah, like one day he just went and just like parked right out front that building. Yeah, here's one of his things, Leviticus 18:21, and he pretty much has. I didn't even know about this guy when I started Sacred Owls, and I started creating stuff with the Owl Buster on it. And but yeah, he was doing that before us. Like I didn't even know he was around.
Damn.
So it's kind of funny. Like, oh, my band logo's on this like weird thing they never heard of before. Um, but yeah, so if you're watching and you are on X, we are Sacred Owls Unite. And on YouTube, we are Sacred Owls, Rumble, and BitChute DarkDox, and Facebook, Christian X Coffins. So yeah, let's dig into this while we're talking about these fake Freemasons, this whole Taxil hoax.
Yes, Taxel hoax. Yes, yes. So, I sent you the link. I mean, you can read as much in depth as you want to. Long story short, I believe it was a dude from France
Yeah, Leo
that,
Taxil.
yes, he was from France and published these fake books about Freemasonry. And this is how I know when someone brings up these points, they probably read something they didn't realize was fake. But he wrote a lot of books under several different names about Freemasonry and about upper degrees. Once you get to like a higher point, they invite you into the inner circle, and there's like blood oaths and all these things. He actually admitted it was all fake on his deathbed. But regardless, a lot of those books are already out there. A lot of people just don't realize that they've been debunked. And he wrote under very different pseudonyms and stuff like that. But I just know usually when someone's like has a misinterpretation of what Freemasonry is, when they bring up, oh, you don't know until you use a higher degrees, like oaths and all these other things. I know generally that's probably what they read without knowing it was fake.
Yeah, like I mean, from what I've heard from various sources, and I mean, this is like something that's been said by like Jordan Maxwell and different other, people that did slideshows back in the '80s and '90s. Tex Mars, for example, where like they would always say like once you get to the 33rd degree, that's when like they bring out a crucifix and ask you to spit on it, and if you don't then they'll just shake your hand and say you're a good Christian, but then you just stay a 32nd degree Freemason. But if you actually do spit on the cross or do some other, kind of sacrilegious thing, like they claim like that 33rd degree and onward, there's more degrees apparently after that. But that's like more into like the mystery schools, mystery Babylon, and uh, have you heard any of those theories? What's your take on any of that? Do you think there
Yeah.
is a 33rd degree, or do you think everyone that's claiming to be one is full of shit?
Oh, there is 100% a 33rd degree. I know people that are 33rd degrees. What a
Okay.
lot of people don't realize about the 33rd degree, it's actually an honorary degree. So you
Yeah, I've
cannot
heard
earn it.
that.
Yeah, you can't earn it. You can't be like, oh, like let me just take this class. So you can either earn it by doing charity work, Masonic contributions. Like a lot of brothers have PhDs, they'll write a book, peer review. All these things. They'll do stuff like that, and you get gifted it. The sacrilegious stuff, Freemasonry, the Scottish Rite page has made official publications several times saying that's not true. I've talked to brothers myself. They say it's not true. 80% of Masons in the United States about are Christian. So I don't think that there would be that many Christians that would go through with that. and it never really being proven to be true. So no, I definitely don't think that's true. I just known too many people that are 33rd degrees. They give you like usually get like a cool ring and like you got on your license plate and like you're like flaunting it around. I don't think it would all add up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could always see like with all of these, really any group of people, there's always going to be like compartmentalization. So like there's probably just like in the Bohemian Grove, for example, they're called camps. Like they actually have camps that you're a part of this lodge or this camp, and for example, the Bushes are part of Mandalay, and so not anyone can come and do things over there at that camp, unless like certain clearances, certain passwords, and things like that. Do you find like anything that's like kind of clicky like that that you've noticed while being in Freemasonry, or do you feel it's a kind of all like above board within Freemasonry?
Yeah, I think, yeah, like I've never seen or came across anything like that. I mean, yeah, there are like the Knights of Templar, certain things where like maybe more certain work is required, or maybe possibly even more money because you have to pay like some money just to cover the costs and stuff. But I don't think I've never seen something where it's like, oh, we're going to like be like ultra super secretive about this and we're gonna hide it from like basically like in some cases like tens of thousands of other people. Um, I've never seen it. I've never seen any evidence to suggest that. Even I was in a college fraternity too, and
Yeah,
I've
which
heard the same
fraternity
thing.
were you in?
Beta Theta Pi.
Beta Theta Pi.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's heavenly. Well, a lot of people don't know this. All college fraternities and sororities all come from Freemasonry. All of them, one way or
Makes I
another.
mean
All of them.
they're all fraternal orders. I mean, right? It's
Yeah, they're all the
same.
same thing. And I just find it weird as I heard all these same things when I was joining my college fraternity. Like, oh, you're gonna have to do blood oath and like you're gonna start worshiping Greek gods, and then like if you do a good job, someone's gonna come to you and like invite you in and all these things, and none of it ever came true. I was a pretty good student, 4.0 my last year, athletic scholarship. Skull and Bones actually was one of the original 7 college fraternities in the South, which my Beta Theta Pi is a branch of Skull and Bones. Um,
Oh,
and
okay.
I've never seen anything organized at that level. I just feel like people want to believe it. And now, could like a couple brothers themselves like get together and start like some clandestine group? Yes. Has that happened? Yes. Is that a problem? Yes. So
Yeah.
I think what happens is like these people get together and start like a fake lodge and do all this, and they'll spit on a cross and do this, and people are legitimately thinking these people really are Freemasons or free whatever they're claiming to be
Yeah.
when they're not.
Because I mean, even in like the Martin Scorsese film with Matt Damon and Angelina Jolie, The Good Shepherd, Robert De Niro. It's
Yeah.
essentially. Have you seen this film?
It's been some years. I have seen that though.
Yeah, yeah. It's essentially Skull and Bone, the story of like the founding of the CIA. I mean, the main character, he's pretty much a parallel to George Herbert Walker Bush's storyline, and yeah, so they got him in, they're pissing in coffins while he's like laying in the coffin, and doing all that kind of stuff, and he's like even like, oh, like he's embarrassed and disgusted, and they were like, like this is just like, for us to be like brothers now or whatever, and stick around and do this. So like, as much as you could confess or whatever, like, have you ever been in any situation that you were like uncomfortable with, or like, oh, this is weird, or like it was all pretty
N-
basic?
No, I think honestly, like, because I got initiated through my college fraternity, I already knew what to expect from like Freemasonry. Like, I knew I was gonna like go through initiation, do all this and that, and I've never seen anything weird. where I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Like, is this satanic? Or like, oh, like this isn't how it, like this goes against our bylaws. Like someone's like trying to like start their own thing or like take over the lodge. I've never seen that. No, no.
Okay.
I would say the vast majority of information that a Freemason has that you can get, probably honestly published by Freemasons. Like you can go get 1 through 32 Scottish Rite degrees that Freemasons wrote themselves to explain all the symbolism history. I mean, they're like Bible fucking books. They're super thick, but you can pretty much go find all the information out there if you really wanted to. I think Freemasonry, it's just like a school, and it organizes it, and it makes it like, okay, here's class 1, 2, 3, and it has like a progression, and it makes it so you know the information that you're getting is actually legitimate.
Gotcha.
But check it here. I know the audience will love this. It's called, I believe it was called P2. It was a fake Freemason lodge created by the Italian mafia. It was never a real Freemason lodge, never had a authentic charter, nothing. The mafia got the idea. I was like, oh, we'll make a fake Freemason lodge. None of us are actually Freemasons. We'll all pretend. We'll have like a website. We'll have meetings. And they did that, and they like took over like the whole city. They had judges, police officers, and like all these people in their pockets.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
So it's called Propaganda Do, or P2. Was on the Wikipedia, they're saying it was a Masonic lodge founded in 1877 within the tradition of Continental Freemasonry. So what's the difference between Scottish Rite and Continental?
See, that's when like I don't even know what Continental is, but I know that lodge wasn't a real it didn't have a charter from the Grand Lodge of Italy. So it's when people make like fake lodges, they'll be like, oh, the Grand Lodge like international.
See, on the
Florida.
Wikipedia, the very next thing it says, within the tradition of Continental Freemasonry and under the authority of Grand Orient of Italy. Its Masonic charter was withdrawn in 1976, and it was transformed by Worshipful Master Lucio Gelli into a international, illegal, clandestine, anti-communist, anti-Soviet, anti-Marxist, and radical right. I think I might like these guys.
Yeah, it's
criminal
pretty crazy
organization
story,
and secret society operating. They're killing commies. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
It's
man,
pretty
that's
crazy,
interesting.
man.
Wow.
They should make a movie about it. Honestly,
This is interesting as hell. Yeah, for sure.
So do I think
so-
like something like that can happen? To answer your question, I think
Yeah.
shit like that could happen where it like never was real. At least from my understanding, it wasn't real, or at least it was, and they canceled it and they like changed it. So I think something like that could happen.
Yeah, I mean,
But-
you can see how, like,
Yeah.
each lodge is, like, its own people doing its own thing. So, I mean, the same thing how there's, like, a million different kinds of Christianity and Catholicism and Judaism and Hinduism and Muslims and...
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you never know. I just feel like, the lodges are set up like the government. Like you have like the Grand Lodge of Florida, it's like the feds, and then like the local lodges like the state, and then like you have to follow the laws within your state, but you also you have leeway to make your own bylaws within your own local lodge. And like, they have like grand inspectors that come out and check your charter, make sure you're following the rules, and like they're like kind of like federal agents, and like it's all based on, and it's the lodge is set up like a courtroom, like the Grand Master is like a judge, and like you have the thing, you can overwrite his law if you have enough votes. Like it all comes from Freemasonry,
Yeah.
like all of it.
So the Continental Freemasonry, Liberal Freemasonry, also known as Continental Freemasonry, or Adogmatic Freemasonry, is a major philosophical tradition within Freemasonry that emphasizes absolute freedom of conscience, philosophical inquiry, and progressive social values. The liberal Freemasonry is characterized by its acceptance of all people regardless of religious belief, gender, philosophical outlook. But Scottish does that too, right?
Similar. Well, you cannot in the United States. You cannot be a female Freemason. They only do that shit in Europe.
All right, and they
France.
just say gender. So okay, so the liberals are like the snowflake lefty Freemasons, if that's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, the European Freemasonry and American Freemasonry also has some pretty distinct differences. That gender shit being one of them. Like, you could not be a Freemason. I would say 98% of the lodge is not going to let a trans join. That's not happening. So they may do that shit over there, but not here.
No, good. I mean, I mean, we can all agree now. It's a mental illness. It's it's
It's a
not a
men's only
thing.
club. Yeah.
Just like there's not people. Did you hear about that city council member that she identifies as a tortoise? Like,
Oh God, I believe it. Well, it's gotten so crazy. Is there was a trans woman who joined a sorority. Sorority is a female-only club.
uh-huh.
The local club said no. The national chapter of that sorority vetoed them and forced them to say you had to allow this trans woman in. And now that local chapter is suing their own national chapter. How
Wow.
crazy is that shit?
That's their strategy. They infiltrate any organization or corporation, and then once you got one of them in there, it's like getting herpes, man. Like, because
Yeah,
that's it. Like, it's hard to get rid of, and it spreads. They then get them into HR or something. Next thing you know, they're hiring all their friends, and yeah.
it's crazy, man. It
Yeah, well, I
is.
mean, these are the way I see it is like it's not isolated incidents. Like, these people are organized, radical extremists that want to dismantle society. Like, that's their goal, and they're dedicated. Like, I think we haven't been taking them serious enough. Like we were talking last
Mhm.
episode about the Zizians, like, oh, a trans cult, whatever, but like, no, they're going around killing people, like they're doing the thing. Like, these people are serious,
Right, yeah.
They're as serious as unserious people can be, I guess,
Yeah. You're not lying. I agree with that. And um I think that, like you said, they're trying to like target these gender specific organizations, male, female only, and try, like you said, once you get one in, they're all going to come in. So you have to hold the line, or if not, they'll just dismantle all these institutions.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds harsh, but like once you've kind of gotten to this point of research and experience, uh, what it come and the study of history and how these kinds of movements work, you just have to stomp them out. I'm not saying like violently or like it's like, yeah, you have a right to believe whatever you want to believe, and as long as you're not hurting anybody, do whatever. But like, yeah, like you don't have to include them, you don't have to hire them, like, don't let them into your life, because like once they're in, they're in. It's
Yep.
kind of hard to get rid of. All right, let's move on. Simon Bolivar, the Latin American liberator in Freemasonry. This is from the Grand Lodge of Rhode Island, ancient, free, and accepted Masons. What's this situation about?
Yeah, I think this is just like a nice display of like the true Masonic values, like freedom, equality in terms like, your whatever religion you want to be, expression, voting, these types of things that a lot of revolutions that have happened in, well, the United States, South America, were essentially strongly rooted in Masonic principles. And Simon Bolivar, he liberated like Colombia, Venezuela, I forget, like 5 or 6 different countries. Um, was also Freemason and used the Masonic philosophy of freedom to liberate South America.
Nice.
And I think this is a fact a lot of people aren't aware of. So it's just something that I think there's been so many people that have fought for freedom that have been Freemasons that I really believe that it's a founding fabric of the philosophy, and it is that type of thinking when people get together and want to be free, like that's dangerous to the establishment. So I think honestly part of like the anti-Masonic rhetoric is to stomp out like grassroots loving like freedom fighters.
Yeah, I saw the on the cover of that book that they had what was it? What was the name of that book again?
Oh, The Craft, yes, by John Dixie.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
no, 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 not that one. That
Oh.
fake one that with the Baphomet on it.
Oh yes, yes. That was the Taxel hoax. Yes, that's another reason why
Taxel
people
host, yeah.
associate
So
it. Yes.
yeah, so that's trying to tie you guys to I mean, is there any use of Baphomet or any of those other like more like satanic symbols or gods or anything like in Freemason? Is there any part of that that's accurate, or is it literally an inversion?
I don't think it's accurate. I've never seen it. I've never read it. I've done all 32 degrees of Scottish Rite, the Grotto, the Blue Lodge. I've been to a couple different states. I've seen other initiations. Like, I've never seen anything like that. I really feel like it's just like a slander. And a lot of it is just like, I think there's a difference between like fact and religious dogma. Like, if you're like a hardcore Christian, think you can only be Christian, Christianity is the only way. And if you even associate with somebody that's another religion or tell them that's okay to be not Christian, that's bad, then yeah, I would see why some people are like, dude, you can't be part of that. But John Dixie, that book I actually sent, he actually was a professor from London. He's not a Mason. He's not a religious, like, he's just a professor that wanted to investigate, is Freemasonry satanic? And he wrote a whole book about it. And his answer is overwhelmingly no.
That's the craft from John Dickey?
Yes, that's the one. Very prominent from professor, I believe, from the University of London is where he teaches or taught at, and he did a whole academic book. It's all cited and sourced that he found no evidence. There's a famous quote. He says, "I found no evidence of devil worship, but instead I found like purpose, like misinformation, basically like blaming Freemasonry for that, something like that."
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, The Lost Keys of Freemasonry. Yeah, I have that book laying around somewhere. Is it the same author? No, that's Harem Abiff. All right. Good stuff. And then we got the Denver Public Library. Oh, yeah, Denver. That there's a Freemason cornerstone at the Denver airport.
Yes.
Do you know anything as a Freemason about? There's a lot of conspiracy theories about like
Yeah.
I actually went to the Denver airport, and you can see on camera. First of all, it's a swastika, but that's reasonable when it comes from an engineering standpoint, like how you do
Right.
landing strips. Like if you
Right.
have one this size, it's probably going to be a swastika just to get people
Right.
coming in and out from all
Yeah. Yeah.
directions.
Yeah. I get it.
But yeah, here's the Denver International Airport dedication. And the time capsule beneath this stone contains messages and memorabilia to the people of Colorado in 2094. It's supposed to be opened up. Dedication capstone laid by the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge.
Oh wow, Prince Hall too. Wow. Okay.
And the most worshipful Grand Lodge of AFAM of Colorado, March 19th, 1994. And then what everyone freaks out about in my circles is what's underneath that. On the very bottom, it says New World Airport Commission contributors Martin Marietta Aeronautics, Fintris, Bradburn Architects, Zimmerman Metals. But nowhere else in the Denver airport is it called New World Airport. And there is no mention of the New World Airport Commission on anything ever. But yet it's on this stone. So a lot of people are like, what's the New World Airport Commission? Is it like a secret under the Denver airport thing? And like that, what really got people kind of shook up about the whole thing. Link in description. This is from history.denverlibrary.org, but there's also, I think, DenFiles, DenFiles, like X-Files, .com that they made. Yep, it goes to flydenver.com about Denver Airport. And let's see, did they... Yeah, what makes them unique? Yeah, they also have like the that creepy zombie horse in the front of it with the red glowing eyes. But the thing that really freaks people out about this airport is they have this art piece called what is it? Children of the World Dream of Peace, and it has like gas mask Nazis with like guns and swords, cities on
Oh,
fire, and then kids in coffins from all different parts of the world. Just the weirdest occult symbols, and they're all gathering around to destroy the sword. You have the German kid wearing like a lederhosen with the hammer to destroy the sword and like kill the Nazi with the. It's so fucking weird, you know.
yeah. I think I know what you're talking. I've seen that photo. I know what you're talking. It is fucking weird.
Yeah, it was a huge mural. Like, I mean, just it took up a whole concourse. Um, but yeah, have you heard anything weird about the Denver airport or any Freemason insight there?
I've heard everything that you mentioned. Yeah, I've heard everything you've heard about it being weird. I did not know that the Cornerstone was the Prince Hall and the Colorado one. I didn't know it was like a couple different lodges. I don't know why it's there, bro. That's a good question. I'd have to like look into that. The only thing I could think of, just off the top of my head, is like from a Masonic like tradition standpoint, is anytime a Mason gets involved with something like that, we always try to leave like a little like a shout out, like try to put the logo somewhere, or try to leave some sort of like, yeah, Mason was here.
Yeah.
So the only thing I think of without not knowing anything is like if one of the Masons was involved, like the architecture, he knew somebody, or like somehow was involved with it. They're like, yo, let's rep our fraternity.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have no idea. I would have to look into it. And I'd be curious to see if someone actually reached out to those Freemasons directly, like what their answer would be. Because you could just email, you can look up these people's emails, it's all public. If they're still active Masons and they're part of Grand Lodge, you can go to the website, and if they're an officer, it has to be public. You can actually email these people.
Nice.
I'd be curious to hear what they say. But I'll see if I can look into that, and then next time on the show, or I can let you know. I'll look in to see what I can find out about.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting because yeah, I've been there twice, and it's an odd airport. It feels ancient and futuristic at the same time, and you can just tell that like it just goes deep underground. A lot of people say like it's a hub for like the underground tunnels that take you to the center of the earth and all that shit. So it's like definitely a cornerstone of a bunch of different conspiracy theories. Enough so that they made denfiles.com, and they kind of had some fun with it, and they had like a alien day, and like they filmed not filmed, but like they screened Close Encounters of the Third Kinds, and so like they kind of owned that, like, yeah, we know people come to our airport that just to see how weird it is and all the weird stuff we have. So
Right, I can see that too.
yeah, moving on. MasonryToday.com. Today in Masonry history. Oh, the Morgan affair. That's funny. Like, we ended up coming back to that anyway.
Yeah, that's probably just another article. Yeah, I mean, I've never found any real evidence to link it directly. Like I said, I think it was more like a lash out against elitism, I guess, maybe. But
yeah, and they were also simultaneously making fun of Catholicism, which I thought was kind of interesting, like because they were tying it into like, the Catholics are in with the Freemasons. I don't know. I mean, I was while you were talking, I was reading some of the wiki there.
yeah, there's a real big. So the Catholic Church does not allow you to be Freemason. So if you're a Catholic and you become a Freemason, you're exiled. And if you're not, like, you cannot, you have to like give it up because, well, there's a lot of different theories to that, but it goes way, way back. Some people say to the Knights of Templar, Ark of the Covenant, all these other things. I don't know if that's true or not. Could be, but that tension is, I think, still very much alive.
Yeah, I mean that goes way back. I mean, because the Catholics believe that the Knights Templars stole the Holy Grail, right? Like that's the.
I think that's part of it.
That's the beef.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I mean, there's actually a Gaia series called the Knights of Templar by the actual real Grand Master of the Knights of Templar. He's a Mason, I know he is. He has like a 10 multi-series part on the Knights of Templar and the Holy Grail. If any of the viewers, or I don't know if you watch Guy at all, but that one is pretty legit, and it goes into some pretty good stuff about the history and the symbolism and all that. It's something definitely worth checking out.
Nice. Also, lastly, you sent me a PDF from the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin Masonic Study Series, The Obligation. What's this one about? Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll read the first paragraph. For centuries and throughout the world, conspiracy theories have had Freemasons squarely in their sights. While there are many and various reasons for this, one of the most commonly cited reasons is our obligations. I do not have any intentions of taking on any of these theories, as my entered apprentice charge clearly tells me not to allow my zeal for the institution to lead me into arguments with those who, through ignorance, may ridicule it. So, yeah. What do you think about the obligations?
Yeah, I just I hear a lot of, like, another common argument is, oh, you guys have to take oaths, and
right.
This brother, and I think a lot of Freemasons make the distinction, it's not an oath, it's an obligation. And people will counter, like, oh, well, that's like a play on words. And I think there's a very distinct difference, because an oath, it sounds like you're insinuating, like, this is like at all costs, like you have to do this, like you're almost like in a gang.
Yeah, I mean, typically it's like synonymous with like putting your hand on a Bible and, like, you know, swearing to God, you know, like something very serious. Whereas an obligation, it's like, you know, I have an obligation to brush my teeth every day. You know, if I skip one, you know, I'll probably be all right. But, you know, you should do it every day.
Right. So the obligation, as we say, it's a strong moral cord. You're just obliged to help out a brother. And another part that people skip over about, which I don't know if it's on purpose to make it sound a little more sexy than it really is, but it's if you find that brother worthy of your help. And worthy is subjective. So if a brother comes to you and says, oh, help me, I don't know, steal this or do something, you're like, dude, you are absolutely under no obligation at all to help them, and are usually encouraged to remove them from the fraternity. But I don't know. A lot of people skip over that if you find them worthy part, which I don't know why, but I feel like it's also a very important part.
Oh yeah, I mean that's everything. I mean, you know, because that's honestly one of my beefs with Christianity. Frankly, as a Christian, you know, that, you know, I'll meet a lot of Christians that are a bit more like, you know, we forgive everybody, and like we, you know, like, and I'm like, even pedophiles, even murderers, and they were like, you know, it's like, yeah, you know, that's God's grace. Like, you know, if you can forgive someone like that, like you are that much closer to, you know, to what do you call it? Yeah, to grace, to being graceful, you know. But that shit rubs me wrong, man. I'm like, no, like, you know, that doesn't feel right. That feels like somebody satanic got into the church and like is pushing that shit, so that way, you know, we just turn the other cheek, and like, you know, we're just like, you know, you can't be a warrior for goodness if you just allow evil to spawn, you know. So in the same way, like, it makes sense, like, you know, that you don't have an obligation to somebody who isn't worthy of, you know, your help, of your goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very well said. That's exactly the way it is. Like, you know, and that's the way it should be. I think. I don't think that just because, I mean, just because you're another Freemason does not mean I have any sort of duty to help you unless I feel like you're worthy of it. Period.
Indeed. Well, I could, of course, talk to you for hours. We're coming on to 9 o'clock, and my back is killing me. Any last words? Anything you want to, words of wisdom to impart anyone about dispel anything before the weekend?
I would just say, just do your research. Make sure you just know what you're reading. Just the fraternities in general. There's a lot of misinformation. I would say that fraternities, Freemasonry was the backbone of freedom for America and a lot of countries in the world. I believe that Freemasonry is fighting for the good guys and for the betterment of the United States and the world. And I think we should just take a better examination at community-based organizations and see how much they've helped the local communities throughout the foundation of this country, and think, why would the government not want these to be around anymore?
Well said. Yeah, I mean, I think this is an important topic, and I really like this series that we're doing here. And I definitely, of course, you're invited on anytime. I'd like to do these on a regular basis, because I know your perspective is going to be unique and valuable in the future. So again, I want to thank you for coming on and willing to spill the beans on Freemasonry. And oh yeah, one last question I had that I didn't ask last time.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on the Fraternal Order of Police versus Freemasonry, and why didn't you join that instead of Freemasonry?
Great question. Well, so the Fraternal Order of Police, I guess technically it probably is a fraternity. It's more of a political advocacy group for police officers and their departments. So that is basically like a lobby group, essentially. They may have, where you join, they may have a little initiation, they may have some aspects of a true fraternity, but at the end of the day, yeah, all those sheriff groups and those police fraternities and sheriff associations.
Yeah, because they have lodges and everything. I'm looking at
yes,
it now.
they're a 1,000,000% lobbyists.
Okay.
100%, they're lobbyists. And I don't think they have the police department's best interest in mind.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah, I just chose not to join it because, honestly, it's just more politics. I just go do my job and leave.
Gotcha.
I'm just trying to just do my job and respect people's rights the best I can.
Separation of church and state.
Yeah.
Pretty much, within your life. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel the need to join a group like that. I feel like I'm treated decently well. My department lets me use discretion. I can choose what I want to do, so I feel like I'm not fucked with. I don't really need to join something. I want to be involved more in politics than this job already is. I just want to do my job and go home.
Makes sense. Yeah, I can completely understand that. Well, thanks again for coming on. A little teaser for everybody. I'm going to be digging into this over the weekend, but Noah Westwind from thegovernmentwantsyoudead.com in the DarkDox network posted whitehouse.gov lab leak true origins of COVID-19. It's a whole, they did this whole thing. The proximal origin of SARS-CoV-2 publication, which was used repeatedly by public health officials and the media to discredit lab leak theory, was prompted by Anthony. This whole thing is throwing Anthony Fauci, Birx under the bus, as well as Cuomo for killing all of the old people in the New York old folks' homes. Brings up the Joseph Biden pardon, full and unconditional pardon for any offense of the United States which have been committed. I mean, it goes on and on. So this is very exciting coming from the White House. Of course, if you've been watching DarkDox or InfoWars, it's nothing new. But the fact that it is now, it has a legitimacy of coming from whitehouse.gov is a step in the right direction. So I'm going to be digging into all of this over the weekend and giving you my analysis on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you again, Charlie Bravo, for coming on. And I hope you have a great weekend, man.
It was great being here. Thank you again. Same to you.
All right. Well, that concludes this episode once more. So I'll see you guys on Monday. Beware, take care, and have a great weekend.
leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order. It's Christian Coffins.
DarkDox, 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 Digest. DarkDox, 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 Digest. DarkDox, 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 Digest. DarkDox, 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 Digest. If you value this program, donate what you can at CASH.APP /DarkDox. DarkDox, 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 Digest. DarkDox, 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 Digest.